Joker Folie Deux is the sequel to the divisive Joker, the Best Picture nominee, Best Actor winning film, and grossing over $1 billion at the box office. No one expected a sequel, but here we are. Starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, with rumors of it being a musical and a budget over 3 times that of the first, Joker 2 was interesting but scary. Though I love the first film, and I can still admit its flaws and notable parallels to other films, even just speculation of a sequel had me worried, because this wasn't a second film we needed, but it's here, I've seen it, and all I can ask is why. Joker 2 follows Arthur Fleck and his ever-evolving personality problems as he meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, while in the Arkham State Hospital. Before we get into over 90% of you guys who watch these videos aren't yet subscribed, so if you don't want to miss out on more reviews and reactions, hit that button. But otherwise, any more time, let's get right into it. I want to start off by talking about the unique direction of this movie, because my biggest problem with the first film, even though I'm a massive fan of it, is that it does feel like a lot of other films with some similar thematic ideas. And as cash grabby as this movie is, and I'll complain much more about that later in this video, there is a sense of unique vision from Todd Phillips here, from all of the musical elements to just character ideas and thematic evolutions from the first film. You can see that Todd Phillips wanted to try something new, and he did. I just think he tried something a little bit too new. The first Joker film feels like an amalgamation of a bunch of other great movies, but this one feels unique. It feels like it's reaching for the stars, but I'm just not sure it actually reaches it. And I'll talk more about this later in detail, but it does feel like an epilogue, and Todd Phillips directs it as such. And for the part that I feel like most people are interested in Joker 2 for, at least what the headlines have been talking about, is the musical numbers. And I'll confirm for you guys, through and through, this movie is a musical, and I actually think it's really cool because the musicals are firstly really great in terms of just the art direction and what they're trying to convey, and thematically it's literally the only depth we get for all of these characters, so inherently it works in the runtime of the film. But my biggest problem with the musical numbers is that they feel like another thing that didn't need to be there. If the writing was just stronger, if the characters themselves and the overall storytelling wasn't as lackluster, these musical numbers just didn't really need to be here. They kind of felt like him just ballooning the budget. And then getting into the performances, this is truly the only aspect of the film that I think really has no big negative towards them. Brendan Gleeson plays one of the Arkham officers, and I think he is absolutely amazing. His dynamic with Joaquin Phoenix is perfect. He's brutal, but he's also interesting and has a slight sympathetic side to him. I really love how he was used in this film. I didn't know he was in it at all. Surprised the hell out of me when he showed up. Harry Lottie plays Harvey Dent, who was the biggest surprise of the entire film in my opinion. He is absolutely amazing. I also just didn't expect Harvey Dent to be as big of a part of this movie as he was. I thought he was just going to be on like one little TV broadcast, but 70% of this movie just is a courtroom drama, and he is at the front and center of it. I think he's so amazing, and you can tell kind of where his character will go after this film. One of the things is just super obvious, but the other things in terms of like his thematic connection to justice and the whole system, all of that feels like it could be explored more. I don't think they will, but it could be explored more, and you kind of see his path paved out. And then we get to Lady Gaga, the biggest and newest addition to this entire universe, and Harley Quinn in this movie to me was just super underwhelming. As a figment of Joker's thematic progression, she works, but as an individual character, just doesn't work at all whatsoever. I didn't really like that she felt like the co-lead of this film, because it didn't feel like it was aiding Joker in any way. Obviously, she was really just egging him on throughout the entirety of the film, but by the end, what happens to her character, and what honestly is a lot of my problem with this movie, is I was kind of just like, okay, why the fuck, why? And it's not that she's bad. She really works in the musical elements of the movie as well, and I think obviously that's why they got Lady Gaga, but also it was just really underwhelming. But we have the lead Best Actor winner from the first film, Joaquin Phoenix, and he is fucking brilliant in this movie. I will say, to an extent, it kind of does feel shoehorned in. He has like this first 10 minutes of the film where I don't even think he says a single word, and that shit is absolutely raw. His body performance is just brutal, and he is just as great as he is in the first movie. But his character has so much less to work with that it just feels like an inherent downgrade for me. There is so much just fluff around this Joker character in this movie that it doesn't feel like it's the same character from the first film. This movie feels like an epilogue, but it doesn't do anything to make us kind of want to get back into understanding this Joker character. And this is where I get into the thematic ideas, because with the main Joker character, a lot of why this movie feels the need to be made, literally the only why, in my opinion, is that it is a vessel for commentary. Joker is this kind of alpha male commentary vessel, and it's an interesting commentary to have. I actually found that to be the best part of this movie. It works on an overall commentary level, not on a let's progress this character level, so it all just falls flat. I really enjoyed the commentary that this movie had to offer, but again, it felt like it was truly just Todd Phillips trying to get this message across in this idea that I think is interesting, but it never gets across in the right way because there's just too much other shit going on that it just becomes super diluted and at times just uninteresting. And before I get into my biggest flaw of the movie, I want to talk about one of my favorite parts, and that is the technical perfection that this movie is. It really just feels like the first film, but completely leveled up, and that makes sense because the budget is 3 times that of the first movie. The first movie was $60 million, and this is $200 million. It does not look like it's $200 million though. I mean, the musical numbers are great. The sets are great. There's bigger and badder things. There's explosions. There's more detailed sets. Everything that you can think of, it is leveled up, but not a $200 million movie. But I will say, visually, it does look great. Todd Phillips, I mean, he absolutely cooks with this one. He is giving us the full view of the Joker. He is giving us these frames that are super claustrophobic and very much just dialed in on exactly what he wants you to see and exactly how he wants to move this story forward on a visual level, and I love that. And then on top of that, the composer for the first film, she's back and she is absolutely amazing. Zero misses on this track. I think there's some musical numbers that aren't amazing, but those aren't her songs, and I think the renditions of those songs are perfectly executed here. I think that this score might be better than the first films, but we'll see with time. But to wrap it up, the final thing I have to say about this movie is that the ending just truly proved to me why there was no point of this film being made. What makes the first film so interesting, even though it pulls from other stuff, is that it's a basic film with interesting motives and an interesting world. This film, Joker 2, takes out all of the motives part. It expands on the world, i.e. the epilogue stuff I was talking about, but it makes the characters more hollow because there is no motive. There is no progression. There is no why is this character doing what they're doing, what's going on with this dynamic and this person's past life and what they've gone through. None of that is present in this film at all whatsoever. In this film, truly to me just feels like, hey, Todd Phillips, you made $1 billion with the first film. Do whatever the fuck you want and we'll fund it. Todd Phillips proceeds to come up with a great thematic idea, but got lost in the sauce of the unlimited, no studio interference world and just went so crazy that he ended up saying nothing. At the end of the day, Joker 2 had all my attention going in, but it does end up a dud. There's great performances and musical numbers throughout, but it has nothing to say, and Phillips just goes too crazy in his own head. Overall, I'm giving Joker Folie a 5.5 out of 10. If you've seen or want to check out Joker 2, let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.